His name is Ethan Pye, infamously known as HoneyBHusband or Mr. Easter Island on TikTok, before he deleted his account, which had over 20,000 followers. Ethan was known for being a victim of looks-maxing edits, where his own face was compared side by side with conventionally attractive men. And he was also notorious for uploading cringe contents about relationships when he had never ever been in one.
Bro, why aren't you upset that she left you?
Because I am not in control of her actions, I'm in control of mine.
Neither of those things caused much of a stir on their own, but everything changed when he posted a video admitting that he had once had an inappropriate relationship with a when he was 21 years old.
Someone who has reached out to me on my Instagram when I was 21 years. I kind of fell for it, and I'm like, okay.
Ethan insisted that he is not the predator that people are calling him, but his choice of words don't make him sound believable.
And the second thing is also to make sure that when I interact with people who are, I have to consider everything in regards to their safety and also make sure that it's appropriate.
This is the story of what Ethan admitted to, how he explained it, and why so many people are not buying the explanation. Ethan's controversial story did not come out all at once. Allegations had been circulating since 2022, and he finally addressed them in July 2025 in at least 3 separate videos that he posted over about a week. The first one was uploaded on July 17th, 2025. It was a 12-minute video that by all means still did not directly address what people were actually accusing him of. Ethan talked in circles about having built an online community that was not safe for neurodivergent people, and described himself as vulnerable.
I was fostering a community that was not safe for neurodivergent people. I was getting, it wasn't necessarily to me either. I was worried that it was gonna grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, right? Like I was worried that my community would have had attached to other communities and other people who were neurodivergent like me, because honestly, I'm very vulnerable. And, well, I'm not very vulnerable, but I am vulnerable, right?
He was blabbing so much that you couldn't make sense of the point he was trying to pass across. What were the lies or rumors? Were they even lies? Ethan's answers were evasive, but he was careful with the terms he was using. He claimed that he had deleted an alternate account because people were spreading misinformation about him that he could not deal with anymore.
Like, there's a lot of people who are spreading lies. There's a lot of, or not lies, that's a harsh word, sorry. Spreading misinformation, and that's not their fault. They're just in the dark. They don't really understand like what really transpired, so I just want to specify here.
This alternate account he mentioned was the one he called a Mr. Easter Island, and he had shot it down after the very live stream that ignited the allegations. He was 23 years old in this video, and at no point in it did he mention the 16-year-old or the specific situation that had prompted the backlash. That part came 2 days later on July 19th, 2025 in his follow-up video. In this one, he actually laid out the specifics. Like before, he opened the video by denying a specific rumor about him preying on vulnerable people.
A lot of people are claiming that I text people who are vulnerable. I take advantage of people who are vulnerable. And these rumors are completely untrue.
Now to the main part, Ethan finally confessed that a 16-year-old reached out to him on Instagram in November 2022 when he was 21, and he said yes to her interest in a relationship because he was desperate.
What ended up happening is that someone who reached out to me on my Instagram when I was 21 years of age. They reached out and they were like, hey, I like you. Would you like to be in a relationship with me? And due to poor judgment and due to the fact that at the time I was a bit desperate, which is not an excuse, let me just specify that. I kind of fell for it and I'm like, okay, I'll see where this goes. So I messaged them, I'm like, yeah, sure.
Ethan added that the two of them flirted for about a week. He was so engrossed in it that he was even open about his new girlfriend on a live stream on his Mr. Easter Island account.
So for a week, we were communicating a little bit, back and forth, flirting. And then on a live stream on my old account, Mr. Easter Island, I specified it on a live stream. And someone on there messaged me like privately, and he's like, dude, like this is not appropriate, and you should block them and just leave it be.
After he did that, someone told him it was inappropriate and he blocked her after that. Ethan always said that he was clueless about some certain things and would rely on his friends bringing his attention to things about morality.
Someone would message me and they're like, Ethan, like that's not what you should be saying. And I'm like, can you explain why? And I say that not because I'm not trying to be rude, but I say that because I want to understand, right? Like the good thing is that I like to understand situations and how I can improve. And they're like, oh yeah, it's because XYZ. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I absolutely did not mean what I said. I didn't know, and I'm so uneducated, and it's really appreciated that you specified that to me.
Bear in mind that Ethan posted these videos with no outside pressure forcing him to. There was no leak or lawsuit in our viral call-out video circulating before he sat down and made this himself. He chose to address the rumors himself, but he did it in a roundabout way. At first he denied it and claimed that people were misunderstanding the situation.
Why were people saying things about me? Because of something I said or did that was misunderstood, right? I take responsibility for any part of it, and I've grown since then.
Then after that, he tried to deflect by making it seem like he depends on his friends to be able to feel accountable for his own actions, as if he doesn't have a moral compass until someone taps him on the shoulder to show him the direction to go. He once said that a close friend had told him he lacked empathy and encouraged him to go to therapy, and that he had tried adjusting his medication in response.
It was with my best friend that I realized that I was lacking empathy. She mentioned to me, Ethan, you lack empathy. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm fine. And then she's like, you gotta go to the doctor. I gotta go to the doctor. I need to change my meds because my meds was actually causing me to be less empathetic for people. But that's an entirely different story.
Again, this was to push the narrative of how he relies on outsiders to judge his actions and not his own sense of right and wrong. When asked whether he knew her age at the time, he confirmed he did, but said that due to his own poor judgment, he could not fully comprehend why it was wrong.
You know the person's age at the time? Yes. However, due to my lack of proper judgment, I wasn't able to really comprehend why it was incorrect. And so it was entirely my fault. I was an adult in the situation, and I should have known better.
You might be wondering, why did Ethan do this? Well, Ethan himself said that he was simply desperate. He was 21, his friends had girlfriends, and he never had one. So it seemed the first person to ever show interest in him. Romantically was his best and only choice at the time. Even though it was wrong, that's how much pressure he had to face.
In all honesty, I just wanted a relationship. And I say that now because, especially when I was 16, 17, 18, I was struggling a lot with dating. I wanted a girlfriend, and I saw all my friends have girlfriends, and it put a lot of pressure on me, and it made me a lot more desperate than what I probably should have. So when I hit 21, I was like, I'm 21 years of age, why don't I have a girlfriend? So when a situation like that, this, and only this, came up, I reacted poorly, and I made a mistake, and I'm like,
Ethan claimed that he apologized to her before blocking her, and that going forward he would only pursue people closer to his own age. He also added that if he ever found himself attracted to someone vulnerable, he would make sure it was not inappropriate.
Is also to make sure that when I interact with people who are vulnerable, that I have to consider everything in regards to their safety, and also make sure that it's appropriate.
While in a normal setting, it's never advisable or right to draw vulnerable people into a relationship in the first place. This dynamic would end up being manipulative in the long run. The vulnerable party would be dependent on their partner and would often not have minds of their own. This is the type of relationships that play out when young, impressionable people are by mature adults. It is also predominant in trauma bonding cases. No one should state that they would be attracted to vulnerable people. Yet here Ethan was, saying that if he ever found himself in that situation, he would make sure it's appropriate. The whole confession video is a big mix of deflection and excuses. Excuses as to why he needs people to tell him when he's wrong and why he shouldn't be blamed 100% for not knowing any better. He even claimed that he wasn't trying to silence people, yet he purposefully turned off his comments section so no one could talk about him or his videos. And in one last attempt to look sympathetic, he mentioned that someone took advantage of him when he was 13, but said he did not want to get into detail.
To be completely honest, I've had situations like this, so I don't want to go into it just because it's super private, but I've been in situations like this where someone did actually take advantage of me.
That claim is his alone, and he hasn't expanded on it since. No one deserves to have such an experience, but it still doesn't exempt him from this issue. The worst part is that Ethan used the phrase, taken advantage of, which implies that he knew that an adult had had their way with him at a young age. Yet he turned around and did the same thing, all because he was desperate to date someone. If you had been following his account when he was active on TikTok, you would understand why he craved attention and wanted to be in a relationship desperately. Ethan built his following around relationship goals. He would write out texts about what he would do before or after having a girlfriend and how he would be if he ever had a girlfriend. Let's check out a clear example, my improvement goals, before a girlfriend. And then he outlined some basic factors. Getting better at cleaning. It's not my future girlfriend's responsibility to clean my cottage/home until she moves in, and then it's a shared responsibility. Get better at Mario Kart. I want to defeat her in the game, full size. Embrace and be more confident in my interests. go to the gym to do 5 kilometers daily on the treadmill, on top of 3 training sessions weekly. His posts were pick-me material, and a good portion of his audience didn't find it attractive at all, because it always seemed like he was baiting his viewers to talk to him. He's fishing compliments. It's so obvious. This may or may not be true, but it's definitely something to consider, because over 2,600 people agreed. An agreement like this puts things into perspective about how a percentage of Ethan's viewers were side-eyeing his content. Day by day, he churned videos about how he wasn't insecure about being single, while posing as a good guy. Then in some, he gave relationship advice. Except these were not advice videos in the traditional sense, where someone answered a follower's question, talked through a real situation. Instead, Ethan acted out fictional arguments with a girlfriend who didn't exist. Sometimes the roles were between him and another male friend who would call him out for practically being a simp for his girlfriend. Ethan played both roles, the supportive boyfriend or simp boyfriend, and the somewhat unreasonable other half of the conversation. He invented a foolish position for the boyfriend character to hold, only so he could knock it down easily a few seconds later. Also, he always resolved the disagreement in a way that makes himself look understanding, patient, and wise.
Bro, I know what I'm talking about. I've had tons of girls in my life. You honestly think that's a flex? Why weren't you worried that in the relationship she'd be attracted to someone else? Yes, I can be attracted to other people. She can be attracted to other people. But our relationship is based upon trust.
Again, a lot of viewers found this kind of content to not only be cringy, but also suspicious. A user named Uvik once theorized that Ethan's videos are made to appeal to impressionable people who would fall for the good guy image he was projecting. Honey's videos are definitely made to appeal. He presents himself as this nice, innocent man who will always be there for you and respect your personal spaces and boundaries. What I think he was trying to do was lure these girls into his DMs and presumably have his way with them. Once more, for clarity, these are speculations, which are not meant to be taken seriously. However, they can give insights to work with, especially when you consider how easily Ethan agreed to date a when they offered. These videos were cringy, but they weren't enough to get him haters. In fact, Ethan wasn't someone the internet could have hated without feeling guilty at the beginning. This is because when he introduced himself for the first time on TikTok on June 1st, 2022, he explained that he has ADHD and a developmental delay, and that he had always found it difficult to express himself.
Hello, my name is Ethan and this is my first ever TikTok video. As you can see, I'm drawing on a coloring book and I want to explain a little bit about it. So I have ADHD and a developmental delay that I've had since birth, and I found it difficult to express myself on online communities.
He admitted that he finally mustered up the courage to interact with people by creating a TikTok account, and his way of doing this was through art and aesthetics.
This account will be used to express myself through aesthetics, art, and more. Not only will this be beneficial for me, but I hope it will be beneficial for everyone I interact with here on TikTok.
This might be the only surviving account Ethan has now, or it could be a troll account. It has only his introductory video and 24 followers. Not much is known about Ethan, but there are a few details I picked out at the comments. Now bear in mind that nothing is confirmed yet, so treat these added information with a grain of salt. Someone stated that Ethan used to lead their youth group in church. No one else confirmed the statement, so it might just be a case of misidentification. However, in another intriguing claim, Ethan was said to be an angry bird in some years prior, according to a user named Bleach, who claimed to have attended the same high school as him. Ethan graduated from Spectrum between 2019 and 2020. Bleach also stated that Ethan had behavioral issues in school. I have no way of confirming exactly what it could be, as I was just a classmate, never knew an exact diagnosis. But he had major anger issues in middle school specifically. Multiple times he would just snap and throw stuff in class, and flip desks once or twice too. Remember a time where he just randomly threw his desk and stormed out of the classroom while yelling the most angry things and smashing walls and windows with his fists. He mellowed out slightly in high school, but was still known to get angry really easy. Now that angry side had never been revealed on his page, but it actually happened in a rant we'll get into shortly. For the period he remained on TikTok, Ethan was mostly calm and positive. Aside from topics about relationships, he often uploaded appearance and self-improvement content. Ethan posted about going to the gym, dieting, and working on himself. Some users who followed his page genuinely admired him for this, while others were far less kind. He received a wave of hate over his physique, much of it from look-smaxers. If you're not familiar with the term, it refers to people in online communities built around maximizing physical attractiveness through diet, gym routines, skincare, and in more extreme corners, surgery, all in an effort to raise their perceived rank on an imagined attractiveness scale. Members of these communities used Ethan's clips to mog or embarrass him. This behavior ties into black pill content, which is a belief system common in and looks-maxing spaces that treats physical attractiveness as one of the most important traits a person can have, mostly decided by genetics, with little room to change your fundamental rank. Ethan suffered from black pill edits where footage of himself was spliced next to footage of conventionally attractive men, set to music, to highlight the gap between the two. Other creators called out the mogging content directly and argued that it was just plain bullying.
He's posting about how he's trying to improve, and you guys are putting him down. In my opinion, that's one of the most unattractive and worst things you can do as a human.
Even when the rumors were attracting hate to his side, some other TikTok users who didn't know what was up only assumed that the hate Ethan was receiving was simply for his appearance.
Is this too niche? Do I have the wrong HoneyBHusband? Or what? Because I went to their page, and yeah, it gets super cringy, a little annoying, but I don't even dislike them. I don't feel anything. It's just
To a lot of people, Ethan was just an awkward, self-deprecating creator getting piled on for his looks. Then came the confessions that somewhat justified the attacks against him. But that wasn't the end of this story. 6 days after his confession video on July 25th, 2025, Ethan deleted his account. The account reportedly had around 22,000 followers at the time, and a good chunk of them were no longer on his side. But instead of remaining silent after his revelations, Ethan returned on August 17th, 2025 with a rant video where he launched a very different kind of argument. In this video, Ethan didn't touch on the 2022 situation. Instead, he began to defend himself against the label being used against him by claiming that calling someone a PDF was not appropriate in any context.
But calling someone a is not appropriate in any context. Because calling a silences other PE, it silences genuine story.
He argued that using the word carelessly actually silences other victims of real predators by draining the word of its meaning.
So, calling me a when it's formally not accurate, it's not accurate in the court of law, it's not accurate in any other form, is actively people who are victims of such crime. Just flat out. Right? Can we agree on that?
The whole thing doesn't make sense, and you can see that the aim of the whole video was to erase or disprove the fact that he was involved with a 16-year-old. Ethan was desperate for people to acknowledge him like the average human, so he said anything to vindicate himself, even though everything he ranted about was a big bag of nothing. Once again, Ethan reiterated that he had only dated the person for a week, as if the length of time made the situation a lot better.
This situation, I was just an idiot. This is what happened. She reached out to me. Bad course of judgment, horrible course of judgment for me, where she reached out to me, asked if she could be my girlfriend, and this lasted a week, bro, and that's not to downplay the situation here.
His central defense, which he repeated more than once, came down to this very notion of how she had reached out first and not the other way around. For him, he wasn't a predator because predators naturally did the hunting and not the victim.
She reached out to me. Right? I did not understand the situation as to why this girl reached out to me and why it was inappropriate. That's my fault.
Still, that argument would not hold water when you consider how everything eventually played out. Even if she initiated contact, he was 21 and she was 16, and by his own account, he knew her age throughout the week they spent flirting. Whoever messaged first doesn't change the fact that Ethan was the adult in the exchange, and the one responsible for ending it the moment he realized, or should have realized, what was happening. Some viewers believe that he posted this long rant because he was fired from his job. And here's the shocker from this whole saga. It was speculated that Ethan worked in childcare. On his account, he has a video showing his housecom and asked what he did for work. He said, "I work in childcare." This additional information doesn't make his situation any better. If it's true, it means that Ethan was always in spaces involving kids. It also reinforces the idea that his content had a way of appealing to young audiences. This revelation, if true, would also mean that he should have maintained a mental boundary with children since he was in a position that made him interact with them often. But unfortunately, he didn't, and this bad judgment led him to this point. Today, Ethan is not active online again because the internet has canceled him. Has he repented from his ways, or is he still repeating this damaging situation? No one can tell. But the fact remains that he already has a stain from the past, and any other issues around him could be taken through the legal route.